Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. This is the podcast that is dedicated to finding common ground between both conservatives and liberals. I was telling these guys on a text the other day how, I think what we do is important now more than ever before because of in light of political tensions and free speech and censorship and having discussions and being able to talk politically. And we've been doing this for years. And what I said was I'm proud. I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm proud of just the dialogue that we've held, and mainly Ryan. Ryan's the one that really pushes things. So kudos to him, and I appreciate that. But I think it's good. What we do is good, and having a discussion, and in I'm gonna butcher this, but in the words of Charlie Kirk, he says something to the effect of when the two sides stop talking, that's when the violence begins. And I believe that, and we should be talking, and there's a lot of people that have echoed that. Bill Myers echoed that we should be having discussions, and we should be talking. For both sides should. And I think it's good. It's good for our country. It's good for democracy. It's good for bringing the best ideas to life. And so tonight we are going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about
That,
censorship
that,
and free
that was
speech.
your best opening ever, by the way. Good
Thank
work. Proud. I'm proud of you. Not
Well,
proud of Ryan, but I'm proud of you.
It's
um,
okay. I'm wearing red tonight, so I'm representing Republicans. You can be mad at me tonight.
Nice. All right.
um, we're going to be talking about free speech, censorship. So there's been a lot of interesting developments just very recently, right? About what should be censored and what is being censored right now. So we're talking about that. There's a few articles we'll be referencing, but first, a word from our sponsor, Lux Bidets.
Get yourself a bidet, people. There is so much shit out there. You definitely don't want to be carrying it around on your ass.
Right. Get it off.
I don't know that they're going to put that as their tagline, but all right. I'll go with it tonight. Been a long week.
It has been a long week. What is it? It's Tuesday. How has it been
It's
a
been a
long
long week. Before the program, we just spent half an hour, all of us downloading how crappy our last 24 hours have been. And guess what? It's been pretty crappy for all of us. So it's hard for everybody out there. And I think it's Plato that said, "Be nice, for everybody's fighting a hard battle." Everybody's having a tough go, especially in the last 2 weeks. So just can we be nice? Let's try to be nice to each other, not shoot each other.
Yeah. Okay, Josh, I might have to bring that up that you said that.
I know. I'm like, really? On this podcast?
Yeah.
Josh,
Okay.
be nice?
In my defense, but a month or two ago, Ryan and I did one without Tom. Tom couldn't be there. I went back and listened to it. I was very nice. I didn't jump on Ryan at all. When Ryan and I are just talking, sometimes we'll get a little heated, but not really that heated. I try to get a little more animated for the podcast because I know Tom will rein me in. But yeah, I get it. That's what I do here. I'm kind of a douchebag.
Um, all right, yeah, Ryan, do you want to talk about this and bring it up about
Yeah, I can. So we might be useful, right? Just to say the thing that everybody is kind of probably wondering, we have been off the air since what happened to Charlie Kirk, and we are intentionally not talking about Charlie Kirk. That's my doing, and we can talk about that maybe at the end as to why I'm not willing to talk about that. But in light of that, there's obviously been a lot going on. And what seemed to kind of come to a head just recently is arguably some forms of censorship that seem to be playing out. I think the water is a bit murky, what's going on exactly. But the big one was that Jimmy Kimmel was basically pulled off the air indefinitely. He's now back on the air. So we're recording this September 23rd. But as of Wednesday of last week, Disney, which owns his network, right, they pulled him. They pulled him off the air right before he was doing his monologue because of something he said, not actually about Charlie Kirk, but about the shooter, right? The person who did it. He was saying something. We can go into the details if we want, but again, I'm trying to avoid the whole Charlie Kirk incident for very specific reasons. So he comes off the air, and then people start wondering what's going on. Brendan Carr, so the head of the FCC, he had said something that day. We can get into the details there, but what really kind of pushed me to want to talk about this is something that Donald Trump said on Air Force One on his way back from the UK after being feted by the king. And I've got the quote here. And to me, this is really, really scary. And I'm making connections that we don't necessarily have to agree on, but I'm making connections. So here's the quote that Donald Trump gives to the media on Air Force One. He says, I have read someplace that, quote, I have read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won, and easily. I would think maybe their license should be taken away, end quote. So that's what Donald Trump said about the major networks. And Brendan Carr was basically saying the same thing, right? So the paraphrase of Brendan Carr was, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. He had said that on a podcast the day before Jimmy Kimmel was pulled. The implication was that he said something that people didn't like. And so he went to Disney and said, we're going to pull your license unless you pull him off the air. We don't know if that actually happened. So I'm not saying that it did, right? But Disney clearly felt really nervous about this, and they pulled him off the air. There was an immediate backlash. And this is going to sound really crazy, right? But Ted Cruz, of all people, came out and said, this is terrifying, right? That is a violation of free speech. Ted Cruz is one of the Republican senators from Texas who was like, no, don't do this. This is really, really bad. And I was like, I almost never agree with Ted Cruz, but I'm on the same page. I'm on the same page with Ted Cruz right now. Like, this is terrifying.
That's why Ryan's wearing red. He's now voting R.
Shout out
to Ted.
I mean, if voting R means stopping the censorship of free speech right now, like, I would have to do that, right? So this is what I'm like. I'm genuinely terrified that we have a president who thinks the response to criticizing him is to pull the licenses of broadcasters, which is a major violation of free speech. So that's like point one. And then point two, we'll see if we need to really go there, but we can get there. So I'm interested in your guys' take on what Trump said and what happened with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. No. Okay. I'm good to go, Josh, but you want to put some thoughts out there?
Sure. What Jimmy Kimmel said was horrific. Okay, I'm sorry. What he said was just, it was blatant. It was blatantly propaganda, and it was just patently false. Okay, what he said was horrific, and he was making light of something that is affecting a lot of people, and it's been really hard. Like, it's been heavy, and he's just up there laughing about it and making fun and lying. He's blatantly lying. Okay, now I agree with.
What is he lying about?
Can we get the actual quote before we go too much further down there?
Sure. Here's the funny thing.
It?
I found it, like, well, I'll have to pull it up, but like, but I actually had a hard time finding what he said. I had to do several different searches. Like, what did he say? And yeah, well, does anyone else have it? I can try and find it.
Yes. Here is the exact quote that got him in trouble. Okay. And again, we're not talking Charlie Kirk tonight. I'm putting my foot down on that. Here's the quote from Jimmy Kimmel. Quote, we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. End quote.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in why you're depicting this as like horrific, Josh, because I really don't think it is, but we can talk about that.
There is zero evidence that the kid that shot Charlie Kirk is MAGA. There's zero evidence that he's anything other than essentially mainstream left. Okay, all of the evidence, including all the testimony of his parents, his family, everybody that knows him, all of the chat rooms he's in, the crap he inscribed on the bullets, it all indicates he's not MAGA. He might have been raised that way, but he went off to college and came back, and all of the quotes, all of the everything his parents have said, everything his family has said is, yeah, he went pretty far to the left, and he's pretty mainstream in the whole trans movement and all this stuff.
Okay.
So
can we pause there and discuss that point, or
absolutely.
you want to keep going?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm trying to be very careful with the Charlie
Good.
Kirk thing because you don't want to talk about it, but I don't know how we're going
refuse
to
to
get
talk
there.
about it. Right.
Which
Maybe we will
disturbs
if
me
the
greatly.
censorship stuff ends, but we'll see. So here's the tricky part. Jimmy Kimmel said this on Monday. Okay. The first news that came out about the person who killed Charlie Kirk, right? Allegedly. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying like he hasn't been convicted. So be it. He's been charged with this. The first information that came out is that he was from St. George. His parents were registered Republicans, on again, off again members of the LDS Church. Doesn't matter. Certainly don't care about that. They took him hunting. They were big fans of guns.
Yeah.
That was the first information that came out. Okay. It was in the charging documents Tuesday morning, the day after Jimmy Kimmel said this, that we then found out that he had a possibly trans partner. And that's when his parents said he had moved to the left.
So once again,
can we agree on the timeline?
No. I knew all of this stuff about him before he said it. All of the conservative news sources, including Steven Crowder, who broke everything about the bullets, and Ben Shapiro, they all knew that he was living with a trans boyfriend, that he was on trans chat rooms. They knew about the stuff he was writing on the bullets, which is all trans ideology bullcrap.
No.
I knew all of this before he said it. I knew all of it.
I did know about the bullets. I didn't know
we knew
all
about
of
the
that.
bullets. We knew about the bullets, but the bullets don't say anything about his ideology. They're all
they're all trans ideology
meme culture.
stuff.
No, it's all meme culture.
No, it's all
Catch
trans
Fascist.
stuff.
Catch Fascist is from Helldivers 2, Josh.
Like
It's online meme culture stuff. And he literally said it was all just
Chow Bella
garbage.
Chow or whatever.
Yeah,
This is
that's
all trans
fascist
crap.
ideology.
Okay.
No, that's literally that's what it comes from. It's from a fascist
That's
song
not
from the
right-wing
1920s.
stuff. It's not MAGA stuff. The conservative media was reporting like we had all of this info before that. Before he said it, you can shake your head, but I knew all this. I knew all this like Saturday or Sunday. I knew all this before Jimmy Kimmel said what he said. So maybe you didn't hear it. I'm not going to agree to that timeline. There was no evidence at all that he was MAGA, none whatsoever. And even if your timeline's right, which it's not, for Jimmy Kimmel to get up in front of a national audience on public airwaves and say what he said with no evidence to back it up, that's just bald-faced lying propaganda. Why do you think there was
I think we're just going to have to disagree on facts.
Okay,
and
fine, but why do you
I
think
hate
there
that we
was
just
such
disagree
a
on
backlash?
facts all the time.
Why was there such a backlash?
What do you mean such a backlash? There was a tiny backlash. Most people thought that this was pretty benign. When I heard it, I was like, okay, he said that Monday.
Again,
and it was Tuesday morning when they gave the charging documents and they had the evidence and they actually said, we think he took a left turn, right? That's when I found out about it. So sure, maybe if I was deep in the, rabbit hole of kind of conservative media and they're getting insider information, I don't know, right? My point is, mainstream media was not depicting it this way until Tuesday morning when we saw the charging documents. That's when it became public. And then Jimmy Kimmel would have not said this. I mean, I think that's pretty clear, right? So everybody was thinking, oh, he was raised in a conservative home. You even admitted that. He was raised in a conservative home. That's absolutely true, right? His grandmother said, we were all MAGA nuts in this house. That came out on Saturday.
Goes back to the same disconnect we always have. We're getting our news from two different sources because I already knew all of that. I knew it all before Jimmy Kimmel sent it.
And do you think Jimmy Kimmel knew it and he just lied?
He lied.
I don't think he did.
What did he know? What did he know?
We don't know that, do we?
He knew nothing. Or he knew he was lying. One of the two. Because I knew it all the weekend before.
You're giving a false dichotomy. There is an easy third choice, and that is he knew exactly what I knew, and based on what I knew Monday evening, that was an accurate statement. Tuesday morning after I saw the charging documents, I was like, oh, more complicated. Okay, I'm fine with that. So he knew exactly what I knew. I don't see that comment, given the timeline, as being problematic at all because he was giving the best information that he had at the time, and he was framing it in a very specific way.
I need facts. You don't know what he knew.
No, I don't. Neither do you.
Okay.
So don't say that you do.
I'm not saying that he did know everything that I knew, but the information was out there, guaranteed. I'll stake my whole
I did
life
not have
on
that
it.
information. I did not have that
Where
information.
are we getting our information? This is still the
from
disconnect.
mainstream media sources.
And this is why, I know you want to talk about it, this is why Charlie Kirk got killed. Where are you getting your information?
I'm not going to talk about that.
All right.
Well, okay. Sorry.
I don't even remember where we're going.
Well, here's a few.
We can't agree on facts, but go, Tom.
Yeah, there's a few things I've thought about that I wanted to bring up. So when I was like, what did he say? What did he say? Right. And I looked it up, finally looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. Like it wasn't a big deal. And so
Nope.
I would agree with Josh in that I felt like he just took what he saw and made a conclusion off of it, right? Without it was funny because I saw someone post on Facebook, and they were a liberal person, and they said, and like I don't unfriend my liberal friends. That's one of my rules. Is like I force myself to look at their posts, and he was said something like, yeah, everyone assumed it was gonna be they're talking about the killer was gonna be liberal, but it turns out he wasn't, that in their face, and then a bunch of people were agreeing with it, and I was like, but it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, why would MAGA go kill Charlie Kirk?
So can I just throw in like one piece?
Yeah.
The initial information that was coming out, again, turned out not to be true, right? Turned out not to be true, was that he was further to the right than Charlie Kirk was. And there was a group called the Groypers, right? That they were further right than Charlie Kirk.
Called what?
And they were called the Groypers, Groyper, Groypers. And there was like this big, they were protesting. So it was a further right
neo-Nazi group that protested
that was protesting Charlie Kirk. Okay. And
it.
so there was initially like, maybe he
maybe
was one of them. So he was actually further to the right than Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
That came out very early, and then very quickly people were like, no, that doesn't look like it's supported.
Okay.
Right?
But the left ran with that again with zero evidence, because that's the narrative they wanted to believe. There was zero evidence that he was with the Groypers. And I heard that from source after source after source saying, yeah, he's with the Groypers. Like, there was zero evidence of that. Why are we reporting that? This is what's disgusting and disturbing to me. Everybody wanted to believe their narrative of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone wants to believe their narrative. I would agree with that, and that we run with it before it's been vetted out fully, right? And so that's the one thing I would ding on him, right? That he's prematurely just grabbed a narrative and then ran with it, anyway, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So this is what was interesting, because I did see FCC, was it Ben? What's his name? The FCC chair. I did hear him talking, and
I'll pull it up.
This is interesting.
Brendan Carr.
Brendan. Okay, that was Ben, but
Brendan Carr.
So he's on ABC, which is a public network, right? And public networks are not supposed to be impartial, but they are supposed to give equal time. And so this is why when Kamala Harris came on SNL right before the election, that they had to give free ads to Donald Trump, because that was like, hey, you can't throw her on right before and give her free airtime. And so they had to air ads for the Trump campaign. And it's because you are supposed to give equal time, and like that's part of you are a public broadcasting network. It's a privilege, and to be on those public airways, you get basically like free audience, and that tune into that just by virtue of you being on the network. So
there's a lot of rules governing it.
Yes,
so the fairness doctrine was abolished in 1987.
Well,
so it was established in 1949, but there's actually no rule that they have to do that anymore.
But there are rules saying that the use of those public channels has to be for the benefit and good of the country or something like that. So the argument that I've heard for the FCC was Kimmel, was this for the good of the country? Him just standing up there and lying? And I'm not actually even going to say that you should poll him. Okay, I didn't even get to my point there, but that is one of the arguments I've been hearing, is the use of these stations, these licenses. There are some caveats. There are some rules that they do have to follow, and the FCC can enforce that. They just generally don't. The argument I would actually make, and I'll make the argument for Ryan here, the left has abused that in the past, and the right has pushed back. I would just say let's get rid of all of that. Let's get rid of the FCC. Like I don't think we should have that cudgel there of the government and the FCC chair appointed by the president standing there with the cudgel going, well, if you don't say what we like, we're going to hit you, right? I don't like it. I really don't like it. But there is an argument to be made that what Jimmy Kimmel said was not in the best interest of the country. It was clearly just propaganda. He was clearly lying. But again, I don't know that I think
So
we need to go off on some other
I don't see
here,
any
but-
rules that specify that they actually have to do anything in the best interest of the country. There are 3 rules that govern content on public networks, right? Obscenity, indecency, and profanity, which profanity is allowed at late night, and they have to have some children's programming. There's nothing else that governs what they actually have to do.
Well, and you're right, Ryan. So like they don't have to give equal time for political viewpoints, but it's only for political candidates that they have to. So that's why they had to give the airtime for Trump.
Right.
But right, they don't have to like be one way or the other, which is, I mean, like I think it's blatantly obvious that like almost all of the late night shows are quite
all to the
liberal.
left.
I'll concede that the late night shows are.
Yeah.
That I'm totally going to concede that. People above them, owners of the companies, I think we could debate that. But the late night show hosts, I watch some of them, right? So I was watching parts of Stephen Colbert at times on YouTube. I don't really watch like live or anything, right? And Jimmy Kimmel, I would watch those occasionally because they'd come up in my YouTube feed and I'd watch their monologue,
funny.
right?
Okay, can I tell you what I think happened? Because like this is directly what Ryan is just talking about with these late night shows. Stephen Colbert just got canceled, right? A couple months ago. They pulled him because the ratings sucked. He wasn't making them complicated.
He goes till the end of the year, right?
He goes until May. I don't know. There's a lot
Ratings
of
are down for all of them.
So no
they
contract
are.
renewed.
His contract was not renewed, but the timing was tricky. So I think it's useful to just give.
Said what it was, right?
Well,
they did. I just heard a quote from the head of ABC or NBC or whoever it was. She said this had nothing to do with politics.
The merger.
We've been talking about for a while killing late night because the numbers aren't there like they used to be. That's what she said. She said I love Stephen. She was talking about Stephen Colbert. She said I love Stephen. He's been great, but the numbers just aren't there anymore. We've been talking about doing something about late night for a while. That was her direct quote from a couple of weeks ago. I mean, not direct. I'm paraphrasing her quote, but can I say what I think happened here? And maybe I'm wrong. We don't really know.
Well, so I did look up.
There was a piece there though.
Kimmel did have over the last 10 years. He's about I think it was 260,000 a night, but that's down from he used to have 1 million a night in 2015. So 10 years ago. So he has lost
steadily going down.
Significant amount of it, like 75%. So he's 25% of his original from a 2015 high.
So I honestly think that's the main problem.
Well,
all right, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm not debating that the numbers are probably down and the ratings are down. The CBS thing with Colbert is complicated. They canceled him right after Stephen Colbert criticized the parent company, Paramount, for settling a lawsuit with Donald Trump. Right. They paid him millions of dollars. And the speculation was they were in the process of trying to merge with another company. And that merger was being approved by the FCC. Mm-hmm. So CBS was in a position where they needed to keep the administration happy to get that merger approved. And one of the things that, again, it's speculation. I'm fully admitting that it's speculation. No, it's speculation. So lots of people have said, including Stephen Colbert, that he thinks that this is retribution for him criticizing Trump. Is they're like, well, we can make sure this goes through if we get rid of the person who's blatantly and openly criticizing Trump every single night.
But, but of course he's going to say that, though, right?
Yeah, sure. But a lot of people are. And the optics look pretty clear.
Well,
right?
Why wouldn't Trump get them all fired? Because they all criticize him. Why would he just single out Stephen?
He
Okay.
just fired Jimmy Kimmel.
That's way
Do
more
you see what I'm
speculation.
saying?
Ryan,
Yeah, it's pure
he got
speculation.
Colbert, then he got Kimmel.
No,
Jeez.
no.
He got one more to go. That's
Ryan,
it.
could it just as easily be the narrative that sorry, CBS, what was it?
CBS is with Colbert,
Yeah,
right?
that CBS thought that they, like Colbert's ratings are down. They know that he's a thorn in the side of Trump. If we just kill the show, it might at least it will maybe smooth the FCC, and it's not it's a different direction, right? Like that's just as feasible.
It might not even be that though. It might be
Yeah, it could be
his
that.
ratings are down. He's not bringing in a ton of money, and he just insulted us, the parent company. This
Right.
is just freedom of association. Okay, I guess we don't need to be associated with this guy because he's insulting us. Why would they want to employ an employee that's insulting them when he's not bringing in much money? Okay, I'm pretty sure this is exactly what happened with Jimmy. Again, speculation. I get that. His numbers are down. He's not bringing in the money that he used to be bringing in. Now he's on air saying super controversial things during a super controversial time when people are getting fired left and right because they're saying horrendous things. Why would a company go, well, we're gonna put our neck out on the line for this guy when he's not making us any money? Sorry, these are corporate overlords. They're going to say this guy's not making us any money, and now he's making us look bad, and he's saying controversial things. When right now, that's not a good time to be saying controversial things. See ya. Like that, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Now, there's all this speculation that the FCC got involved and Trump got involved. We don't know that. It doesn't. Like I'm a big fan of where there's the simplest answer. Occam's razor. The simplest answer is the easiest answer. The simplest answer is they saw their employee wasn't making money, and he started insulting the company and started saying controversial things. So they said, "Okay, you're done." And they were obviously
You mean
getting
with
pressure.
Colbert or with Kimmel?
Both. But with,
why did they hire Kimmel back then?
With Kimmel, I think it's they were getting pressure from the two big affiliates, Next Star, whatever it was, and Sinclair. Yeah, those two are like.
So. I think Brendan Carr straight up said we can do this the easy way, the hard way. That was 24 hours before he did it. So it was blatant what he was doing.
No, I agree, and I think, but my understanding was he said he kind of threatened an investigation. Like, do we need to go and investigate you guys? And then ABC's like, we're pulling the plug, and which it could have been like, we're gonna look, and if we find something we don't like, we're gonna, things are gonna get nasty, and they're like, yeah, not worth it. We're just gonna pull the plug.
If that's the case, I'm extending the olive branch here. If that's the case, I hate it. I said this earlier. I think the FCC shouldn't have that kind of power. I think parent companies should be allowed to fire whoever they want to fire if they don't like what they're saying.
I don't think we're debating that.
But if we find out that the FCC and Brendan Carr actually applied the pressure, I hate it. I hate it. They shouldn't have that power. Let's get rid of it.
I see. Here's the thing: is like here's where I think Brendan Carr does have a valid point in that if Jimmy Kimmel is misleading, right? If he's giving false information or like not telling the truth, that's a problem, right? And
can I just put a pin in that for just a second? He's not a news outlet. He's a comedian.
Right.
Right. So we don't have those criteria.
The majority of Americans get their news.
Well, sure, that's fine. He doesn't bill himself as a news outlet, right? He's a comedian.
Just like
why would we hold a comedian to the standard that he has to give accurate information?
Because
we don't do that on any other outlet.
Public network. If he's on HBO,
not required. That is not required
HBO,
of public networks. Public networks are not required to do that.
Well, sure, but that's what I'm getting at. It's like, can he just tell lies? And like,
have you heard of Fox News?
I have.
That's all they do, right? It's just lie after lie after lie, and no one's stopping them.
So do the main network, the other networks.
And we can say, like, sure, if you want to say that, like, they're just giving lies all the time, and I know that's where Josh stands, and we absolutely just disagree on this. So be it. But if we're not going to regulate one group of people because they're lying all the time, Jimmy Kimmel slightly gets one thing off, right? Based on the information he had. We don't know everything inside his head. We don't know what information he had. We don't know if he was lying or not. Josh can't say that definitively. I can't say that definitively. He said something that was mildly objectionable given what he said.
Do you think
they cancel him?
Well, come on. Like, here's the thing. I don't know. Well, like, we don't know that that anyone. So like what I guess I do have an issue with saying that Trump canceled Kimmel, right? It's more nuanced than this, right? It's like the FCC has an issue with something he
God, that
says,
drives me
and they're
crazy.
like, you know what? It's not worth it. We pull the plug on it, right? Is that seems a little more accurate, but you know,
Sure. I,
but
Okay.
yeah, I'm conceding that it's nuanced, but we also have Brendan Carr recorded on a podcast the day before he gets canceled saying we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Right. So I get Occam's razor. We could try and go with like the easiest answer, but where there's smoke, there's often fire. We've got
simplest.
Brendan Carr making threats,
Okay.
public threats. And then what happens? Jimmy Kimmel gets pulled, right? So we're really going to be like, oh, yeah, it was just a corporate decision. I'm
Is he
calling
the
bullshit.
first? Are these the guys the first ever to get pulled? By Disney. Okay. One of the good arguments that I've heard about this that kind of proves my point is when what was the girl from The Mandalorian? The Gina
Oh,
Carano. When Gina
yeah.
Carano got canceled for saying something completely benign about she posted online, I don't see a need to use pronouns or something. She got fired from the top show by Disney immediately. The left wasn't freaking out about that. Nobody was saying, where's the censorship here? Nobody had any problem. Or when Roseanne, who had the top show named after her on TV, she made a joke. I think it was about Obama's wife or something. And like it was clearly just a benign joke. She got fired immediately off of the Roseanne show. Nobody cared about that. So on these networks where Disney is firing people because they think they're saying controversial things. What?
But okay,
I just looked up why Roseanne Barr was fired.
They thought it was racial.
Yeah, well, she compared Valerie Jarrett, a former senior advisor to President Barack Obama, to an ape.
yeah.
That seems a little racial to me.
Seems.
Well, okay. Can we agree on? I want to. Here's a thought I had. Ryan, you made a provocative statement in our text thread. You said free speech is dead.
Yep.
And under the Trump administration, but like the Jimmy Kimmel thing is the first, like, since Charlie Kirk's death and like everything following afterwards, I have yet to see anyone be censored.
Oh my gosh, Tom. They've been censoring free speech since they took over.
Well,
There
okay.
are words that you can't say if you work at the CDC. There are words that you can't say if you work for the NSF. There are words that you can't say for tons of government
you can say them.
administrations. Huh? No, you can't. If you work for them, you cannot say them. You
Well,
will get fired.
You'll get funding. You won't get funding.
No. If you work for, so the CDC has people who work for them. Then they give out money as grants for different things. That's the NIH, right? So NSF, same thing. But if you now work for the CDC, you cannot say certain words.
What do you mean you can't say them?
You literally can't put them into papers. You can't say climate change. Climate change is out. You cannot use the words climate change anymore if you're writing papers for the government.
Okay. Well,
That's censorship. I don't know how we can call that anything but censorship.
Okay.
They're
Right,
literally
well,
dictating what you can and cannot say in papers.
you understand the reverse of that has been happening for like almost 3 decades, right? Where you couldn't say anything like intelligent design or anything like that because that would be
No. You can say intelligent
job for this
design.
kind of stuff.
No, you can say intelligent design. You can't teach intelligent design in schools
Because
it's not science.
Way to
If you
argue
want to
the
teach it in a
semantics.
mythology class, you absolutely
You
can.
don't think
Go for it.
people would lose their jobs over that? Like,
Or have lost their jobs over that?
and
We can look at the numbers. Yeah.
in a 92% Democratic, like nationally run government, right? Like, yeah, you think that was popular? That's a funny thing to me. Like,
Here's my problem.
to call foul when it's been so blatantly
Exactly.
Okay,
Here's
well,
my
hold
problem
on.
with it. No. Here's my
Never
problem
mind.
with it.
Fine,
I
go.
agree with Ryan. This government censorship is absurd, but for him to only call it out under Trump is so freaking partisan. It's been happening forever, right? Yeah, both sides censor the stuff they don't like, and as soon as they're in charge, they start to censor things. I agree the government censoring everything Trump said, it's disgusting. Charlie Kirk is rolling over in his grave. But here's where you actually should be arguing. This is what you should be arguing. After he dies, Pam Bondi comes out and says, we're going to start prosecuting hate speech.
Yep.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Right.
my gosh. Could you be any more tone deaf? Could you be any dumber? She needs to be fired immediately.
Right.
Okay. And anybody that backs her or thinks that what she's saying,
Trump loves her. Just said Pam's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Just said that on True Social.
Fired. I know. I'm agreeing with you. So shut up and let me agree with you, you psycho.
Well,
this is insane that she's arguing for hate speech. In the death of Charlie Kirk, in the aftermath of the death of Charlie Kirk, who all he talked about was let's talk, let's have free and open debate, let's have open speech, let's have the First Amendment, and then they're immediately using that to promote hate speech laws.
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah,
insane on every level.
Good, we found common ground. This is where I compared it to Nazism.
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay,
I want to get to
that's where you're going to get in trouble. All right, circle back around. Finish this, and we're going to circle back around to that, because now you're going to get back into trouble.
So, okay, can we agree then? Well, because what I feel like right now, in this moment, this post-Charlie Kirk moment, is we're seeing a cultural backlash. And that could be reminiscent of COVID or the BLM movement, where if you said something that wasn't in line with the cultural narrative at the cultural momentum, let me call it, the cultural momentum, meaning, so you would say something like during COVID, right? If you'd say something insensitive, like, I'm not getting, no, government's not going to do something, I'm not going to wear a mask or something like that. You could get fired. And people are getting fired, and like for saying things and posting things, and or
Brian, I know people that got fired.
No, I don't think you're making an apples to apples comparison, right?
I think it's.
I don't think people got fired for saying I'm not going to wear a mask. They got fired for not wearing a mask, right? So that's very different. This is not a censorship of free speech thing. This is limiting what you can and can't do.
Okay.
But if somebody said I'm not going to wear a mask, right? Like that's one thing.
Of the mask, or just or like this kind of stuff happened, like where the culture was very much like, we're doing this, and if you go against it, we're gonna out you. And so like what we're seeing is people getting fired for celebrating, the death of Charlie Kirk, things like this, right? And I know I'm going to try and not go around, but like, or desecrating vigils and things like that. Yeah. And so and so there's this kind of backlash on that, and like I think it, for the most part, it seems cultural, right? We've seen a cultural shift, and everyone's like, we're on board with this, and we're going to dox or out somebody who does this and then get them fired and things like that. And that's what was happening with COVID, where we're outing people, getting them, and like, we're going to get you fired because you're not with the narrative. And like, to me, it's this kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. The culture is kind of, it'll come back a bit, but like, it's just what it is at the moment, right? It's just kind of sensitive at the moment, right? In BLM as well, where if you, what was it? The guy that, the CEO of CrossFit, I think he said something against BLM and like fired, right? He got canned. Yep. And it was like, just not culturally appropriate at the moment. And, so I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm not seeing like, and then we shut down these accounts and like where people can't say these certain words and things like that. I'm not like, that's what I'm not seeing. Like the post Charlie Kirk, like what's going on. Like this Jimmy Kimmel thing is the closest to it, and it's hard to tell. It's kind of nuanced.
I think the Pam Bondi thing's the closest to it.
But let's go into that, because this is where I think this is interesting, because the left for a long time has been talking about hate speech, right? And monitoring hate speech and like what we can do. And now the right is saying it, right? And it's very interesting.
It's just Trump and Pam Bondi. Like I haven't seen anybody else on the right that's like, yeah, this is a great idea. Yeah. It's just those two.
Well, okay. So, but Governor Cox did say.
I hope you're right, Josh. I hope you're right.
Me too. And I think I haven't seen anybody else, like all of the important people on the right, it used to be Charlie Kirk, the Ben Shapiro's and Steven Crowder's, all these guys, all of the people that we follow, the thought leaders, they're all saying, Pam Bondi, what the frick are you doing? Like, we had an opportunity to like promote free speech and try to unite over Charlie Kirk's death, and now you're ruining it. Like, what are you idiots doing? And I've heard that from all of them, Matt Walsh, all those guys. So I hope
Good
I'm
on
right.
them. Good on them.
I
The one
hope
I heard was
Campani gets
Ted
fired.
Cruz. The one I heard was Ted Cruz, and you saw me say, I agree with Ted Cruz.
Yeah, there you go.
So what I saw was, okay, he says, so this is Governor Cox, excuse me, saying social media played a direct role in the political violence and in the radicalizing of Tyler Robinson, and that they should be, he's like that they're a cancer and that they should be, let's see, pleads for the public to, yeah, that, well, that we should get off the platforms more, but he seemed to call out that like things need to happen. There needs to be changes and kind of implying like stuff, censorship. I don't know, right? But like, but there is this idea that like stuff needs to happen. And what I'm kind of getting at is like, what does need to happen, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
I don't
so,
like that implication.
well, what should be censored, right? Should something be censored? And because are we in agreement that we are seeing this radicalization and there's this hint, hint, wink, wink at violence, right? Like that's happening probably on both sides of like,
No.
you know,
What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Hint, hint, wink, wink at the violence.
okay,
Like
have you
that it's
seen
okay or that it's not okay?
that it's okay? Yeah. Oh yeah, that it's okay.
On the left.
I got to find the Twitch account that's like,
Let's not go there, Josh. I heard something really good on a podcast that I listened to that I thought was quite insightful. It's the Hard Fork podcast, which is just a tech podcast. They were talking a little bit about the aftermath of Charlie Kirk, and they made a really good point. They said, I won't give all the details, but the posts on social media that do the best are the ones that get right up to the edge of violating what is acceptable to post on the social media platforms. So you can come just short of advocating for violence, and that's edgy enough and it pushes the boundaries enough that it gets all the clicks.
right.
And as a result, if you're only paying attention to social media, all you really see is the two extremes.
Yes.
Right. You see the people who are just shy of calling for violence on one side, and you see the people who are just shy of calling for violence on the other side. Because if you cross that boundary, you get booted from the platform, right? You get kind of shadow banned, you get booted from the platform, but you can go right up to the border. And what we don't realize is that the vast majority of people actually don't want that. The vast majority of people are not advocating for violence. They're not calling for it. It's just that's the stuff that rises up on the platforms and gets the most clicks because at the end of the day, there are perverse incentives for the social media platforms. All they care about is keeping people on the platforms for as long as possible to get more ad revenue. So they're all about maximizing people spending time on the platform, and whatever it takes to do that, they don't care. And we've actually seen Facebook knows this. They can tone that stuff down, but then people leave the platform and they don't make as much money. So they have a perverse incentive to actually maximize the conflict.
So we can agree that the platforms are radicalizing. Like
Yeah,
they're
I think that's
pushing
fair.
us further. They're pushing us further to the sides. Yes.
And I don't think it's intentional on their part in the sense that like that's what they want.
Right.
That's what they're doing because it makes them the most money.
Yes. Right. Well, there's it's funny because I gave a talk in my church and talked, this was like 3 years ago, about talking, and I quoted this science of it's like you can get addicted to like outrage basically, and it's like this like basically it's like a dopamine hit, and you can kind of like get a high from like being what's the word, outrage
People
and
like being angry.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this because it's funny because Governor Cox like basically said the same thing, that like this is like a thing. People are like going onto these platforms and like getting super upset. So what I think is interesting is are we saying so like well here's the, I did find the article because this guy has made the news. Left wing streamer Hassan, this is Twitch streamer, Left-wing streamer Hassan Piker defends murder them comments in ABC interview. So he's a controversial left-wing influencer who has come under scrutiny for multiple explicit calls for political violence, and have resurfaced in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Has been given a largely friendly interview on the national broadcaster. So Twitch streamer Hassan Piker appeared on ABC's flagship Current Affairs program to discuss the fallout from last week's shooting of the prominent conservative activist in Utah. So he's basically saying, but like, yeah, he's really pushed the edge, right? Of just like kind of condoning that we need to
Not kind of.
that we need to take
his,
action.
I've heard his quotes. It's not kind of.
Right.
Kill all of those effing Nazi fascists. That's the kind of stuff this guy says.
Right. That's like, should he not be allowed to say that? Is it the call to violence? Is that the edge?
So if we're going off of what Supreme Court precedent is, and this is super weird, I actually was looking at this, right? It's now immediacy, right? So it used to be that you couldn't, the classic one was like, you can't call fire in a theater, right?
Yeah.
They've changed it, and this was interesting, that it's immediate calls for violence, right? So if you say things like, this is going to sound really weird because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But if you were saying something like, I think, we'll go with North Korea, like North Koreans should not breed and eventually die out, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not calling for immediate violence against North Koreans. Right. I can say that. But if I have Kim Jong-il right in front of me and I say, I am going to kill you, that is not acceptable. So it's that line of immediate calls for violence is what the Supreme Court has said. You cannot do that, right? So if that's what he was saying is like, I want you people right now to go kill this person, that is absolutely, you've crossed the line, right? I am as close as you get to a free speech absolutist. I fully recognize what the Supreme Court has said. You can't have immediate calls for violence. Like, that's not acceptable. Don't do that, right? That is a violation. The other part, like, I don't even like that, right? But like, can people say, I want all North Koreans to eventually stop breeding and die out? Like, yeah, like that's awkward, really gross, but like, you can say it.
Do you agree with the Supreme Court that like the urgency of action, like that's
that's where I would draw the line.
You think that's a good line. And so theoretically, this guy was in violation of it, but like
if it was immediate calls for violence, 100%.
I've heard him.
If it was interpreted as immediate calls for violence, then he should be. Right.
100%. Okay. That is a violation of free speech. If Josh, he's calling for specific violence against individuals,
100% agree with what Ryan just said. As soon as you start inciting violence, you have crossed the line.
Yep.
But up until that point, you should be able to say whatever you want to say.
Even if it's objectionable and everybody hates it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's even better. Like that's what we're seeing right now. Okay. And this is the beauty of free speech. This is what just happened. And Ryan, you tell me if you're not comfortable going here. It frustrates me and actually makes me mad. Because I
don't want to get fired, Josh. This is what this is about. So
then don't be a freaking animal. Because what we saw with Charlie Kirk is thousands, tens of thousands of people celebrating his cold-blooded murder. And they have the right to say whatever they want to say about it. But then we retain the right as a society to go, oh, there's the crazy people. And we retain the right of freedom of association, to say, oh, I don't want that kid. I don't want that crazy person who's celebrating his blood on the streets, working as a nurse at the hospital. Okay, this is the beauty of free speech. We get to see the crazy people because they say the crazy things, and they should be allowed to say it. We shouldn't censor that. If they're going to celebrate his death, they should be allowed to. But then we reserve the right of freedom of association to say, you're crazy. We're going to punish you as a society because that reveling in the blood of an innocent man, that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable in a polite society.
I'm happy that we found that we have consensus on like what should be censored and what like comes up. And I know Josh would like to talk about this and I know Ryan doesn't want to, and so we'll respectfully move on. But because I do want to talk about comparisons to Nazism.
Yes.
And I did read Ryan's article. I think it was just like a Wikipedia.
It's very short. Holocaust Encyclopedia.
Yeah, and it was just basically talking about Nazis and how they did propaganda and controlled the
Well,
narrative.
there was one specific piece that I really, really cared a lot about, right?
Okay.
When the Nazis came, so this is a direct quote from the Holocaust Encyclopedia. When the
Yes.
Nazis came to power in 1933, the German Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Through decrees and laws, the Nazis abolished these civil rights and destroyed German democracy. Starting in 1934, it was illegal to criticize the Nazi government. Even telling a joke about Hitler was considered treachery.
Hmm. Hmm.
End quote. Okay.
Hmm.
That's the part that I really wanted to bring up. Because can you tell me, based on the quotes that we're seeing from Donald Trump, is that what he wants?
Well, so and you're implying that like him getting Jimmy Kimmel off the air is the start of this like can't criticize me, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But I
when
mean,
he said he had a quote of, yeah, I think we should pull all their licenses. Like, okay, I'll agree with Ryan on that. That's
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
disgusting. Like,
Thank you.
what are you
Thank you.
thinking? Like,
Yes.
um, again, in the wake of what just happened,
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Kirk's rolling over in his grave, seeing what Trump and Pam Bondi are doing to free speech. Like, I'll agree with Ryan 100% on that one. It sucks, but we need to delve deeper into the Nazi comparison thing. I think
well,
this is
yeah.
important.
That was the only part that I really wanted to bring up is immediately Hitler said, "You cannot criticize me, you cannot joke about me, you cannot make fun of me."
Okay,
And he made that a law. And that is exactly what Donald Trump wants. That to me, like
okay.
it is glaringly obvious what
Yeah,
it
I
is he's
agree.
trying to do.
I agree. But here's
I'll
the
leave it
problem.
there. Yeah.
Okay. I just saw yesterday after the Charlie Kirk memorial thing in the big stadium in Arizona, this popular left wing streamer named Destiny said, I watched it, and that was the closest thing I've ever seen to a Nazi rally that has ever happened since the Nazis died, or something crazy like that. This was
Mhm.
just 60,000 people, 80,000 people singing hymns, and Erica Kirk saying, I forgive him. Yeah, that's real Nazi-ish. But this is the problem. Why was Charlie killed? Because you have all of these people like Destiny or the media outlets saying these people on the left are Nazis, they're fascists. Well, how do you deal with Nazis and fascists? The only thing you can do when you're ruled by Nazis and fascists is you shoot them.
Right, right.
That's why these people are becoming radicalized, because we immediately jump into this like Antifa, anti-fascists. They're fighting the fascists. Well, who are the fascists? Apparently Charlie Kirk was the fascist. Here's my problem with this. Charlie Kirk didn't believe a single thing that I don't believe. If people on the left are okay with Charlie Kirk being killed, and clearly tens of thousands of them were, so you can't say this is just a fringe issue. They're okay with me being killed. They're okay with Tom being killed. They're okay with my wife and my children being killed. That's why we need to be so careful with these stupid Nazi comparisons. What Ryan just said, I agree with. What Trump said is very indicative of a fascist dictator. I agree. But do you see what I'm saying? As soon as we start down this path and we start saying the other side are all fascists, now we start shooting them in the face. That's what just happened. That's what this kid just did. He and again, Ryan, stop me if I'm going too far into Charlie Kirk, but
I'm
this
just
kid,
not going to respond, just so you're aware.
all right, this kid said we have a trans genocide and Charlie Kirk's the head of it. He's promoting the death of trans people. He's trying to he's preaching hate and violence against trans people, and he wants a trans genocide. He's a fascist. We need to kill him. This was his ideology.
Right.
Where did this come from? And the
Well,
problem is
it's
for the
the
left,
idea. Go ahead. Sorry. Finish your thought.
for the left to say, well, he's not ours and he's definitely MAGA, and tens of thousands of them are cheering it on. I'm sorry, by your action of cheering it on, you're owning it. You're owning that you're okay with this, and you're owning that you caused this. That's the problem with this. You don't get to clap and cheer and say, we're glad he's dead, but it wasn't us. Even if it wasn't you, if you're cheering and clapping, you're owning it. I'm sorry. That's just how that works. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
Well, all I say, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with that sentiment, right? It's the idea that if you had a chance to kill baby Hitler, you should take it, right? And it's like, whoa,
Just brought up Deadpool. Love it. I can agree with the Deadpool
right?
question. The
Well,
question
and
is
it's
fun.
And it's like, oh, if they really are this bad of a person, yeah, then you just did the world a favor
Yeah.
by offing this guy. And so like I kind of agree, right? The sentiment, like the more we keep making these Nazi comparisons, the more it's creating a sentiment that it's justified to kill
Yeah.
a conservative. It's so I do think that's dangerous. It's a dangerous line. And so so when, the funny thing is, the more I read it, here's you want to know what the thing that freaks me out the most when I read your Nazi
And
propaganda thing
yeah.
is, have you heard the Trump card? The Trump card. It's $1 million for U.S. citizenship,
Oh,
basically.
yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So
The golden
$100,000
ticket.
is for an application for an H-1B, which is
No, no,
like,
no. That's 100,000. It's
yeah,
a
that's what I just
special
said. So
visa. It's a
100,000
special
for the
visa.
H-1B. There's the
Yeah.
visas, the work visa. It's used by a lot of big
Tech
tech companies
companies.
to pull in like Indian developers and things like that. And so, but that's 100,000 for the application. So, but for 1 million, you can just buy a U.S. citizenship.
Yep.
And this isn't uncommon. A lot of countries have this, and so I actually don't even have an issue with it. It's bringing, obviously you're trying to bring in people that have resources, and which is kind of it's part of the brain drain and stuff like that of having the big country. What bothers me is Trump's face is on it. Like,
Ugh.
yes,
That's
and
weird.
yes, they're calling it the Trump card, and I'm like, that bothers me.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
Bothers me. I didn't know that.
And
Gross.
I don't know if it's like that's like officially, but I've seen the pictures of it, and I'm like, what the heck? I gotta pull up like anyway. But it's like that's where I don't like. So to me, I see the administration Trump won. He's made a lot of changes. And like the whole thing with the like you're talking censorship in like the sciences and stuff like that. I'm like, this is just a shifting of the pendulum. That's all it is to me. Like it's been so far one way that you could never get like, hey, let's talk about intelligent design. Let's have a discussion about intelligent design. Like if you had a meeting or like we're gonna have a meeting about intelligent design at the up here at the Pentagon you're like, no, absolutely not. Never, right? And it's like now it's like you probably could have that discussion. It's like it's just the pendulum swinging. That's not censorship to me yet. It's just a cultural swing within the government.
I would say that's an apples to oranges comparison, but that's fine.
It's
Um,
not.
it 100% is, but that's fine. We'll punt that for another time. The only thing I will say about Charlie Kirk, and I am not going to have this debate, I'm not going to do it on the air, is I absolutely condemn the violence. That it was not acceptable. That's it. That's
Good.
all. I'm not going to say anything else about
Good.
it. Right?
Yes.
It should not have happened. That was a terrible thing.
Trump gold card. It's
End
a
of
Trump
story.
gold card. It's got his picture on it. And I'm like, what? What? I'm like,
Well, gee, really, Tom? You're going to gloss over that? That's what I needed to hear from Ryan.
sorry, I got distracted. I was looking it up. No, yeah. Thank you, Ryan. And like, of course,
Well,
that's
Let-
I assume I assume
I
that.
did too. I
Yeah.
did too. Okay, here's the thing, and I know. I'm not speaking for Ryan. Okay, I'm not getting Ryan fired here.
This is why I'm not saying anything. That is
Okay.
why I'm not saying anything.
But
I condemn the violence.
You're only going
End
to
of
get
story.
fired if you say you're glad he's dead, or if you agree with it, or you think he had it coming. Like this stuff's sick. He's been taken out of context. Like you saw what Stephen King said. Well, he was advocating the stoning of gay people. And everybody's like, show me where. Show me one time where he advocated that. And Stephen King had to pull it way back and apologize and admit he was wrong, because that's what happened here. Everybody takes what he says out of context and then says, oh, I'm glad he's dead because he said X. And all you have to do is say, show me where he said that in context. And nobody's able to do it. And so many people are getting fired left and right because they're coming out and just showing that they're animals, showing that they're okay with the blood, showing that they're okay that he got killed. And I was really disturbed. Like, here's my take on my dear brother, who I love. Like, I'm very close to Ryan now, and I love that. I love that we have a relationship. I love him dearly. If he would have come out and said, yeah, I think Charlie Kirk should have been killed, we're better off without him, he deserves to be fired if he said that. Now, please don't take me out of context. Ryan didn't say that. Ryan said nothing. If he would have said that, he should be fired because he shouldn't be teaching children. He shouldn't be teaching young adults if he believes that. So I needed to hear that from him.
There was no surprises here. We completely expected Ryan's rational.
But if he would have said that, okay,
but you understand why I'm not having a conversation about Charlie Kirk.
No,
right?
We
will when this recording ends. When this recording ends, we can talk about it when no one else can hear me and there is no recording, and we can have a good conversation about this. People are getting fired for saying one wrong word about Charlie Kirk, and it's not worth the risk for me.
Right? No, Ryan, trust me.
So I said the one thing that I'm going to say publicly. I said it. I condemn the violence. It is not acceptable. What happened was terrible.
Yes,
I'm not going to say anything else.
I agree. I agree, Ryan. And like I've said this before, but if I ever run for political office, there's like I'm gonna have to take a fine-tooth comb through all the episodes, and there's like 4 or 5 that have to go down because I've said some things that were just like borderline, like that are gonna come back and haunt me. That I'd be like, oh, we gotta take that one out.
All you have to do,
you can get put in a weird spot, and you can say something that's like, and then
you can. But all you have to do, Hugh Nibley, Mormon scholar, he said something that I absolutely love. He said, I'd never want to be held accountable for anything I said 2 years ago. Because if I'm not learning, what the heck am I doing? I might have said something dumb 2 years ago. I'm trying my best to find the most truth. So, if somebody wants to go back and try to cancel any of us based off what we said years ago on the podcast when we were having fun and debating, all right, fine. Like, try it. If I still agree with that, then I'll fight you. But if I said something dumb that, like, I've been wrong before, I've changed my stance before, go dig through all the archives. That just means we're getting more listens, you loser.
Well, I agree with you, Josh, but not everybody thinks that way. In fact,
but it's easy to shut down. It's easy to shut down if somebody comes at you and said, "Well, 10 years ago you said."
Yeah.
Okay. That was 10 years ago. I'm trying my best. I'm changing.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if I haven't changed my mind? I still
then you have the argument. That's easy.
Right. So okay, what was there was some final thing I was gonna go on, but so no, sorry. My final point was just like I was just saying when it becomes Trump centric, and because I did that video on deification of our leaders, right? And that thing, and like the stuff that we did, the Nazis did for Hitler, like pictures on the wall, like the Mein Kampf replaced the Bible in the churches, like it was insane, right? And you're like, it's where like it becomes about him, right? That's dangerous.
How is this not already happening? Everybody kowtows to him. No one will contradict him. Everybody's just like, yeah, what he said. I mean, he literally just said that Tylenol causes autism in a public platform. Come on, like he said that yesterday.
I don't think he made that up himself. I'm guessing, right? Like,
and he's surrounded by, well, maybe he's not surrounded by experts anymore because he's fired all of them. But there's no evidence to support this. Just
don't get me started
whatsoever.
On the CDC and like everyone should be thrown in jail from that place, right? Like Are you kidding me? We are the sickest people ever on the planet that have ever existed. We are so sick, and yet like. RFK gets in office, and we're like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
I hate that.
What? I'm like, we couldn't have done a worse job taking care of Americans. And yet, like, anyone tries to, like, question anything, we're like, no. I'm like, what are you talking about? We are so corrupt and in bed with big pharma and, like, all the other companies. It is so ridiculous.
I mean, the proof's in the you have all of these
proof's in the pudding.
Can we do this another time? It's 11 o'clock.
You have freaking Chris Christie, who weighs 600 pounds, saying RFK doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to health. Like, who am I gonna believe?
Sorry,
like, okay.
Yeah,
we can table that for another day.
Yeah, let's table that.
Yeah, that's a good one to go into the next day. All right. Okay. Well, I think we actually had a lot of agreement tonight, and are there any Josh, I liked what you said, but I want to maybe Ryan get a chance to say anything you want to say, if you want to say.
I love that we found common ground, suggesting that Trump wants to be Hitler, and Pam Bondi seems to be supporting him in that.
I don't think I
And
said that.
I'm pretty
but-
sure we said
Yeah.
that, like, he's doing all of the things that the Nazis did, and that's what he wants,
He's
right?
doing one of the things the Nazis did. He
Yeah.
hasn't thrown
Okay.
any Jews in
Right.
any ovens yet. Let's be a little
Don't
more
like
precise in what we're saying.
That's fair.
certain
That's
things.
fair.
Yeah.
That's
It
fair.
doesn't make him Hitler. I'm just
No,
Yeah.
saying.
I'm not saying he's Hitler.
Yeah.
I'm saying the thing
You
that
said
he
he
wants
wants
is
to
for
be Hitler. That's
Yeah,
in
so
this
he
in
far.
this very specific regard, right? He doesn't
There's
want
a
anybody
better
to be able
way
to
to
say
phrase
jokes
that.
about him. Yes, I
Right.
totally agree.
okay.
He
Thank
doesn't
you.
want anybody to be able to make fun of him ever again. And if he could, he would outlaw that and he would remove licenses from the major broadcasters. And he said that. He said that publicly. And that is 100% a violation of free speech. And free speech is one of the things that makes us a great country. So we take that away. We are in an authoritarian dictatorship and legitimately a fascist regime. Like that is not okay. And that's why even in my text messages, I was like, this is a fascist dictatorship and free speech is dead in America if this is where we're going. Like 100%, right? And I think we all agree on that.
I'll go, and then I want Tom to wrap up. I
Go.
agree with what Ryan said to the point where what Trump said was very fascist. But I've been saying this for years. I go by what Trump does, not by what he says, because this is the same guy that said we should inject sunshine into our veins to fight COVID or whatever the crap he said, right? He's weird. He says dumb things. Yes, I'm 100% with Ryan on this one. The Pam Bondi thing is even more disturbing to me because this is a lady in a high office that's promoting fascist ideas. Like, we're going to control your speech. This is disgusting. And there literally was no better proponent of free speech than Charlie Kirk. And because of this hateful rhetoric, like, we sent our best, nicest guy over to talk to everybody and say, hey, this is our nicest guy. He's the one that wants to talk to you. And you shot him in the face. You shot him in the neck. Like, it's because we have to be very careful with this rhetoric. Just throwing out the other side's Nazis. Well, this is the kind of the hateful place that it leads to. And this is not where we want to be. Tom said right at the beginning, he prefaced this by saying he's proud of the work we've done to try to find common ground and to try to keep talking. Has it been easy every step of the way? It's very enjoyable to me, but it's hard. Like, mentally, it's hard. Emotionally, it can be hard. Like, this is not easy to keep talking to people that disagree with you and want to prove you wrong. And it's not easy to be proven wrong at times. It sucks. We need more of this. We need more Charlie Kirks out there who are willing to go into the lion's den and talk without the rhetoric that is going to make people hate the other side. I hate that. But yeah, I'm glad we did find agreement tonight. I think we agreed on a lot. Freedom of speech is the First Amendment for a reason, because it's just that important. And Charlie Kirk would be rolling over in his grave if he was still alive with what Trump and Pam Bondi have been doing. That's all I have to say. Tom?
Well said, both of you. All right, guys. I know here's the funny thing, and is that the more I've debated with Ryan, the more we've talked over the year, and we've done a lot of talking. Is the funny thing is, like, the more it's easier for me to admit I'm wrong, like, or to cede a point over to him, and like just even tonight when he was like, "No, you're actually." You don't have to do the networks don't have to give like equal time to positions just for candidates, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. And it's like we can do that, and it's like it's not I will die on this factoid, right? And like it that we can get a little like, oh yeah, you're right, and like, but this and this, and you can move on, but you're like, we don't die on these hills, and I'm a lot less rigid when I'm talking with Ryan, and hopefully with everybody, but like and that makes me a better seeker of truth, right? And I think that's what we're trying to get, where this is finding truth is that would be another way of putting it, right? The finding common ground would be finding truth. And I think that's good. That's a good pursuit that we're in. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for this episode. And hopefully we continue this pursuit for many, many years to come.
Peace out. Josh, we may not always agree when it comes to politics, even though we're trying, but there is one thing we agree on. There is only one way to clean up after going to the bathroom, and that's with a Lux bidet.
I've been a proud owner of a Lux bidet for years. I have literally owned a Lux Neo 320 since 2013. That's the warm water model. Talk about happy, fun, poopy time. When I leave the bathroom, I know I'm clean and ready to talk politics in a civilized manner.
Exactly. Using a toilet without a bidet is about as uncivilized as it gets. Civil conversations demand civil hygiene practices.
And that is why our listeners should get themselves a Lux bidet.
And just to be clear, Lux is not supporting one side or the other in this podcast. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. The music is by Ben Sound. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not those of their employers. For more information or more episodes, you can find us at findingcommonbattlegrounds.com.